In this lesson, I'd like to talk about the impact of your decisions based on whether you're doing adjustments before or after a LUT. Now we're going to need a couple more nodes here for us to do some work. So I'm just going to use some keyboard shortcuts to call them up. I need one node that's going to happen before this one. Shift and S is the shortcut on the keyboard on both Mac and Windows. And I'm going to need a node after this one. So that would be Option S or Alt and S for my Windows friends. And we now have 3 nodes, of which the middle node is where we're going to add our lookup table. I'm just going to come back to our favorite lookup table for now, which is the RE log C to Rec 709 LUT to give us that very nice curve that we have going on here. Remember, when we talked originally about creating those S curves, we talked about what's actually happening is that we have a little bit more happening in the dark part of the image, a little bit more happening in the brightest part of the image, as seen by the fact that our curve stays up high a bit longer and gets down to be dark a little bit quicker. All right. Now let's talk about, I'm going to call this sort of the common workflow when doing something like what I've done right here, which is you have your image, it's in log color space, you throw the lookup table on, and you're ready to now get in and make some changes or some corrections. We're just going to assume for argument's sake that this node isn't here right now. So we've applied the LUT, we're going to come to the next node after that, and we're going to start making adjustments. So what I'm going to do is just grab our brightness value from offset, and I'm just going to start dragging it north. Now you're going to notice that as I do this, what's happening here is that our white levels are being clipped. Now it's a little bit hard to tell exactly what's happening on the gradient here, but essentially once an image is clipped, the information that's in the clipped part of the image is now completely useless to us. It's gone. We're not going to be able to see it anymore. All right? So by getting in, applying the lookup table, and then on the node after that, getting in and making brightness adjustments, assuming we're taking that brightness level up, we're going to lose a lot of information very quickly. Now, taking a look at the blacks or the darkest parts of our image, we can do the same thing here. If I drag my brightness down, you'll see the blacks are now being clipped as well. Any information that's located roughly in about here is going to be completely gone. All right? Now let's take a look at the flip side of this. What we're going to do now is we're just going to assume that this node isn't here. Because I haven't done anything to it, it's just going to be like a piece of glass we're going to be looking through. And I'm going to come before the lookup table, and I'm going to make the exact same adjustment. I'm going to grab the brightness levels, and I'm just going to start bringing them north. Now take a look at what's happening here to our image. We actually don't have any clipping happening until I drag that value way up. Now the reason is because the image is going to expand and compress based on the shape of the curve. And the same can be said if I drag down. We don't have a lot of clipping happening until I really start dragging that right through. Now you might be thinking, well, Kev, it's a little bit hard to see exactly what's going on because, we're adding it to one and turning that off and jumping over and adding it to the other one. And I understand that could be a little bit difficult to see. So what I've done is taken a snapshot of our scope so that we can take a look at exactly what's happening before and after the LUT. So I'm just going to hide out of Resolve. And what I have here is 4 snapshots. And we're going to take a look at the high before and after first. So what this represents is high before the LUT and high after the LUT. And when I say high, what I've done is I've taken the brightness values and I've put them at 30 for the high and 20 for the low. So basically 5 points up from where we are, 5 points down from where we are. So what I want to do is show you what's happening after the LUT first. Remember we talked about clipping that image. And I haven't brought the brightness levels up very much here. Okay, and take a look at what's happened to the white levels of our image. Lots of clipping. Now I want you to take a look at what happens when we take the exact same brightness level change and we apply it before the LUT. Take a look at the difference. We practically have no clipping now in the whites or in the brightest part of our image. There it is again. That's after the LUT and that's before the LUT. And you see the change in the curve as well. The curve here much smoother than what we have here. All right, now let's take a look at the flip side. When we're going to get in and bring the brightness values down. Again, let's take a look at what's happening after the LUT, and you'll see that is an absolute ton of clipping we have going on here. Take a look now at what happens when we add the exact same value change before the LUT. You'll see the curve is much different. We still do have a little bit of clipping here, but not even as close to as much as we had when working with this after the LUTs.